right, everybody. We are going to get started. Please come take a seat. Thank you so much for joining, and thank you so much to Nielsen for hosting us. Hi, Anjali. Hi, Charlie. My name is Sara Fischer. I am Axios' media correspondent. I've been with the company since before we launched, and we've been doing this at Cannes now for several years. We are so thrilled to be here with you. Today's conversation is one that is very special and near and dear to my heart. It's about the evolution of sports, moving from a linear, mostly, thing to linear and streaming, and we have some of the top executives across the industry to talk about that migration. Before we get started, just a quick reminder that if you want to tweet or post anything from today's conversation, please use the hashtag AxiosCan25. And without further ado, I'm going to introduce our first panel. We've got two heavy hitters in the media world, in the sports media world. Mark Marshall, who is the chairman of advertising and partnerships at NBCUniversal. And of course, you all know, at least you know his voice for sure, Mike Tirico, who is NBC Sports' play-by-play host and also Olympics extraordinaire. Welcome. Thank you.
Hello.
Was heavy hitters a shot at our weight?
Perhaps. If you want to take it that way, that's fine.
I heard that.
Definitely not the intention. But let's talk about the big news, NBA. So y'all just landed huge rights. Congratulations. One of the things that's interesting about NBC is that you've got so many different places where you can access the NBA. Maybe, Mike Tirico, start out by walking us through the schedule. Where is everyone going to be able to get these games?
Sure. I think that's one part of the entire story that hasn't been told as much as I thought it would be. The NBA on NBC will appear in different places during the week. So on Sunday nights, after we get done with Sunday Night Football, we'll have Sunday Night Basketball. Same framework like the Sunday Night Football franchise, which has been the #1 primetime show for the last 14 years, which is an all-time record. So Sunday we'll have a pregame and then the game. Monday, there'll be games on Peacock, and those games will have a unique, a little bit different feel in the way they are presented and air. And then on Tuesdays, on NBC, on the broadcast network, we'll have an NBA game in the East Coast at 8 Eastern time, and then we'll have a game for our Mountain and Pacific time zone affiliates at 8 o'clock Pacific time. The other game of the doubleheader will be available on Peacock. So you talk about the merging of the two. That's it in an absolute nutshell in one night. And what I'm excited about is the amount of NBA that'll be on broadcast TV in primetime. So you'll have a game every week on Tuesday night, which I think will be a boost for the league and really get the package off to a great start.
It's going to be huge. And Mark, I'm going to want your take on how you're going to take advantage of that. But just to follow up with you, Mike, you said that it's going to look and feel a little different on Peacock. What should we expect?
There are some production ideas that are out there that will be getting the information out as we get closer. But I think you're going to see the options for a little more tech, a little more of the information that people strive for, a companion type to the broadcast itself. But I don't think it's going to get too far away from the essence of the game. Perhaps the presentation will be a little bit different than the standard presentation of an NBA game. I think as we get closer, more of those details are going to come out. But it's an opportunity with Peacock, as we've seen with so many streamers, to try to dabble a little bit in things that are slightly alternate from the way broadcasts have been. However, I think the essential takeaway is that if you're a basketball fan, you're going to get a basketball game. And the beauty of Peacock or other streaming options is that you can give a little bit more a la carte on a menu for fans if they want more stats, more data-driven, a little bit different presentation of the broadcast.
Yes, and by the way, that's just NBC. We've also going to have the NBA on so many different platforms, right? So
I don't know what you're referring to.
Well, you know, we got to keep it real here, Mark. Can you walk me through the primetime opportunity? Because Mike was just saying that doubleheader. You have the East Coast in primetime, you have the West Coast in primetime. Obviously, you have Sunday nights. So that's huge inventory for you. That's a huge boost.
Yeah, it is. And I was at Turner Sports for 15 years before coming to NBC, and that was doubleheaders on Thursday night, which was always a challenge to me because what we were promoting at that point were basically Roadhouse running on TBS every Friday night. And it was just movies over the weekend. The great news about this is, and what part of what I really was hoping for, and it worked out, was to be on the front half of the week, and so we can promote the rest of the entertainment programming that'll happen on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Whereas, Sunday Night Football that's what we've done for years. Now we'll actually go from Sunday Night Football to Sunday Night Basketball, Peacock every Monday night, and Tuesday on NBC Primetime. So all of a sudden, we have this huge promotional platform that's going to bring a younger, more multicultural audience to NBC that's probably been there, that's not there every week as we sit here today.
Bringing more sports to primetime, though, that is a unique advertising opportunity. Walk me through that.
Well, I mean, in sports, we've never really delineated, primetime sports versus weekend sports. The fact is, the biggest opportunity you have for the biggest audience is primetime. And so the fact that, NBC partnered with the league to put one of our big nights of the week in terms of household usage, to put the NBA there was, I think, one of the big selling points for the league, plus the check that we gave them. But mostly Tuesday nights.
$2.6 billion doesn't hurt anybody. Mike Tirico, one of the challenges for consumers is that even though there's so many more ways to access the games, knowing when and where things are going to air is a little bit more challenging. Do you think that's the responsibility of NBC to be educating those consumers? And if so, how are you doing that?
Well, I think it's a responsibility because you want to get viewers under your tent, right? So it's part of the job. And I do understand the confusion. I mean, I'm a victim of the confusion, if you will. I think we've all sat there, and if you are watching a streaming service, okay, I've got to do some work, and we say work, right? We use your thumb 8 times instead of 2 to get out of the streaming service and into however you were getting your TV package. I think the advantage for our NBA is that there'll be the cadence of Sunday and Monday and Tuesday. So we'll be just saying, hey, we're on this network on Sunday on NBC broadcast. We'll be on Peacock tomorrow night, and on Peacock on Monday. We'll be on NBC or Peacock on Tuesday, and really both for people in the markets. I do think the NBA has always done a great job of getting all of its partners, broadcast partners, to sing out of the same hymnal in terms of, I mean, how many times have you watched an NBA game? Here's the national lineup, and Turner will be promoting the ESPN games, or ABC games, and now I'm sure we'll all be in the same boat with Amazon and NBC and the Disney partnership as well. So I think the NBA will give viewers a good roadmap for the people who want to watch with a different cadence. But I know internally that Sunday, Monday, Tuesday is pretty powerful, and I think will really be an impact for the viewers.
For you, Mark, thinking about the advertiser opportunity, I know that when we had most programming, not just sports, on traditional television, the types of advertisers were much more limited. Now with streaming, you can bring so many more smaller brands, quite frankly, into the NBA fold, and that's unusual. That's new to have smaller brands being able to access that. How are you talking to the market about this? Are you trying to get smaller brands in?
Yeah, I mean, we leaned in with live sports programmatic last year. We had enabled it, which is great. You have, Joe's Pizza at the end of the block who actually can now be in Sunday Night Football. Like, that never was possible. Peter Lazarus charges, $1 million a unit rate for it there. Not everyone can afford that. So it has been able to open up different set of advertisers overall. But there's also a return to the big advertisers who also maybe weren't big sports advertisers who have moved in because of sports still delivers that instantaneous reach that's getting harder and harder to find. So you're seeing more interest from the big advertisers and more interest from the smaller ones coming together.
We're talking a lot about the NBA, but NBC has so many different sports rights. And, sitting next to the legend that is Mike Tirico, we talk a lot about the Olympics being NBC's bread and butter. Walk me through the opportunity in streaming for the Olympics. I know you had, I think, every program available on Peacock this last Olympics in Paris.
I think Peacock was one of the big winners from Paris. I think it showed where we are in 2025, and that was 2024, obviously, last year. But you could pick what you want. If all you were interested in were the equestrian events and never wanted to see my face at all in primetime or late afternoon, you could do that if that was the biggest event you cared about. Coming to the Winter Olympics, unless there's an incredible story, curling probably will not appear in the primetime show very often. And in the old days, it was, well, where do I find it? What network is it on? When is it on? Here in Peacock, you can just watch the curling, and you can watch every sheet of the curling competition you want. That is unique, and that's different. And I think that is exactly what people want. Look, we all have our phones. Many of you have them out right now, and you are doing whatever you want to do. I love when people say, Twitter blew up. Well, maybe your Twitter feed did, but if something happens with pop culture, it doesn't blow up the same way on my phone. Now, when there's an NBA trade or an NFL big piece of news, I'll get the same thing 5 or 6 times because I'm following a lot of the same folks. That doesn't necessarily mean everyone's phone blows up. So we are in a very selective media, a la carte. I'm picking what I want off the buffet from my plate. And I think the Olympics is the perfect example with the multiple sports. People can do that and be completely satisfied. And I think it's helped us create and curate a better primetime experience because now we're giving you the best of the day. Of course, we're giving you the meat and potatoes of the Olympics, which in the winter is the figure skating and the alpine skiing. But when it's a big event and something happens that's really unique, we can share that in the primetime show and give you a full buffet, a full look at what happened from the buffet of the entire day in sports. So I love how Peacock has grown and really found its place in sports. The Olympics were the best example of it.
So the Olympics last year, I think, was Peacock's best showing. Mark, what did you learn from that you're now going to bring to the NBA, as well as other sports rights that you hold?
Well, I think it was interesting. The Olympics in Paris allowed us to do something that we had not done before. It was really, during the day in the U.S., it was all live programming, essentially. But what we had learned from the previous 2 Olympic Games were where we had primetime live programming was they missed the storytelling. They missed that. So now what has happened and will happen again in Milan is you're going to be able to watch live sports during the day, but then at night we all have that great comfort of sitting down and Mike telling you the background of the stories of, by the way, the women you introduced me to last night, the sisters. Like like the greatest part about hanging out with Mike Tirico is he tells the same stories on air as he does to you standing next to the bar. But tell the story of the sisters.
Well, I just try to justify my trip here this week.
That was good. You're killing it.
Trying to spread the word and just do storytelling, hotel by hotel. The Masuga sisters, the Masuga family, there are 4. We may see 2 or 3 or all 4 as part of the Olympic Games, all in a different variety of ski and snowboard sports. And they have this wonderful family. The mom is a trip. She has, for years, about 11 years now, been working off a spreadsheet so she knows which kid is where in the country and training. So one of the Masuga sisters told us a few weeks ago that, yeah, I competed and I did this, and then I checked the spreadsheet and I saw that my sister was about to compete in another country in Europe, so I went online and watched her, and she won her competition. They're a really amazing family. One Olympian is, the odds are incredible, right? But to have multiple Olympians in the same family is really neat. So we are looking forward to kind of chronicling their family tale through Milan and Cortina in these games, and that's stuff we can do in the primetime show. If we're showing live, we can show one sibling, tell their story, and say, oh, the other one's competing. But now in primetime, we may be able to show one and show the other one watching them online, hopefully on Peacock. So there's a way to kind of make it something in primetime that is for the family. When you sit down together and you don't want to go through every run of freestyle skiing, but you want to know what happened in a story form. So that's the combination of Peacock and the broadcast together.
So with this combination, Mark, how do you measure success? What counts?
To my bosses, revenue counts. It still matters. But I think when we looked at the viewership for the Olympics, it told us we were onto something in terms of this idea of using the broadcast network as this big hammer that's going to tell the stories. Even as successful as Peacock was, still 83% of the viewing was still done on a linear television. So that is still the hammer that we have. So what I think the opportunity is being able to use those two in conjunction. So you have the massive reach, instantaneous reach of linear, and then you have the precision of digital. And those two things combined make a huge difference overall. But one of the things that I think we probably haven't done as great of a job telling our story is the fact that we'll have 7,500 hours of sports on Peacock this year, and we actually have more professional sports than even ESPN has. So in the streaming world, like everyone, there's a lot of articles that are written about Netflix and Amazon getting into sports. The fact is, it's not even close in terms of the scale that we have at Peacock.
And my quick curiosity of this, when things like the Golf Channel move out, will that still be the case, that 7,500 hours?
Yeah, because we're still selling it all.
Oh,
So
that's right.
we're representing all of it. So the Versant spin out doesn't change us from an ad sales.
Okay, so we have just a minute. I want to follow up with something. You will have a legendary February coming up next year. You've got NBA All-Star, you've got the Super Bowl, you've got the Olympics in Milan. Want your quick take, each of you. How does that blitz help you? And just from a coverage and participation perspective, how are you going to personally manage that?
Want to start?
Mike has way more managing than I do. But I think when we look at our year, it's an embarrassment of riches. We'll start in the fourth quarter, which will be the NBA, and so that will be a great change, and we'll lead into February. And by the time you get to February, you'll have, the opening ceremonies on Friday. Saturday, you have competition all day. You have Super Bowl Sunday. Then you have a week of Olympics. Then you have All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend, week of Olympics. And the man to my right is going to be at all of those, running around the world, which will be, there's no better person to be able to tell those stories.
Well, the fun part for us is our NBA Sundays will begin right around that time as well. So that month is going to be incredible. And for me, it's a personal highlight because it'll be the first time I call the Super Bowl. So looking forward to that in Santa Clara, and then get over to Milan and be a part of the rest of our Olympic coverage. And I'm sure we'll do something on Friday and Saturday from the Super Bowl site as well. But I think that's why we're here in Cannes, to relax, to day drink as much as possible, to try to get ready for legendary February. But it is a thrill for all of us, and I can tell you that as different parts of the company, whether it is sales or marketing or on the production side, we've started talking about the planning and the execution. It's given everybody a great pep in their step. We are so energized and understand no media group, no sports division has ever had this kind of month ahead of them. And we are so looking forward to it and privileged to be a part of it.
Any travel or sleep survival tips?
Don't sleep. I mean, the Olympics
Don't
are about
sleep.
not sleep. The Olympics are, it's 17 nights of about 4.5 hours of sleep. So as I said, Cannes is a very good primer for all of that. 3:30 in the morning, there was a concert going on outside my window last night. Like, okay, fine. It's just like you're walking in the middle of the night in Paris to the Olympics.
This is a first where someone said Cannes is preparing them for the Olympics.
There you go.
I love that.
Hey, it's a great trend. I think we should all just take this to Milan in a few months.
I twist my arm. Okay, so fun things that we're learning today. So the Sunday through Tuesday NBA schedule is a huge part of the consumer promotional opportunity, but also the advertiser opportunity. Reminder: you're going to get the NBA following Sunday Night Football on Sunday nights on NBC. Then Monday we got it on Peacock. Tuesday we got the broadcast West Coast and the East Coast. Both of those games you can find on Peacock. So that's your schedule. Keep that marked down. Mark, when I asked about the opportunity for advertisers, you said this is going to bring in a younger, more multicultural, diverse audience. It's also going to bring in mainstream advertisers who hadn't typically advertised around sports, which is a very new opportunity. When we think about who is responsible for making sure that the NBA fan knows about this schedule, Mike Tirico said the burden's kind of on everyone, but especially you, to make sure that you're drawing those viewers in. Peacock was the big winner from the Olympics. Mike knows that better than anybody else. It was the first time that every single solitary event was on the Olympics, including curling. I did not catch the curling, but maybe now I can go back and watch
Curling's coming up.
it.
It's in the winter. So
Okay,
you
the winter,
still
but
have
I know
the
you guys
chance.
had gymnastics on everything. You had everything.
Everything, equestrian in summer.
And then when it comes to what we have coming up, I had no idea, by the way, Mark Marshall, that you all had 7,500 hours of sports programming on Peacock. I also
The
didn't
head
know.
of sales probably needs to be removed because
Wow.
everyone should know that.
Hey, aren't
It's
you the
more
head
than
of sales?
Netflix, Amazon, Max, all combined.
Okay. You are the head of sales, though, correct?
Yeah, I
Okay. And then lastly, we got a legendary February coming up. We're training for this, all of us right now here at Cannes, by drinking our rosé. The fact that you're going to be, Mike Tirico, travel. I want to know what airline you are, by the way. But you're going to be going, you got opening ceremony, then you've got the start of, you got Super Bowl on that Sunday, you got a week of Olympics, then you got the NBA All-Star, you got a week of Olympics. You said you're going to be sleeping 4.5 hours for 17 days in a row. God bless you, Mike Tirico. Everyone, a round of applause for NBC's Mike Tirico, Mark Marshall.
Thank you very
Great
much.
to be with you
Thank
all.
you, Sarah.
Have a great time.